Hello and welcome back to the Graceful Tangle YouTube channel. I'm Amy Kate, a young but passionate knitter and crocheter. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram, Etsy, Ravelry, and Pinterest as The Graceful Tangle. On Ravelry and Etsy, you can find and purchase my knit and crochet patterns. And also on Ravelry, you can find the Graceful Tangle podcast group and join in on all of the fun chatting we have going on over there. I also have a blog, so I will include the link to that in the description box below so that you can go check it out and subscribe and read my posts. And then also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube and then click the notification bell so that you get notified each and every time I upload a video. So thank you so much for coming back with me today. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sock Week 2020 recap. So if you aren't familiar, Sock Week is hosted by Natty of the Sock Week is hosted by Natalie of the Natty YouTube channel or the Love and Stitches podcast. She kind of goes by Natty. I always, if I'm talking about her, I always say Natty just because, I don't know, it just rolls off the tongue. But Natalie is her real name, I suppose. So anyway, she hosts a week-long challenge where you knit one sock. The goal is to accomplish one sock. So some people kind of go above and beyond. They can knit a pair of socks or multiple socks, like 3. I know at least one person has knit 3 socks because I joined her live earlier in the week and somebody had said that they were knitting 3 socks. So that's amazing and crazy all at once. And it's incredible for that person. But anyway, I wanted to just knit one sock. So she started this challenge last year and I wanted to participate, but it didn't work with my schedule and what we had going on. And then I also was not knitting socks at that point. I am a very, very beginner sock knitter, and I'll be having a video kind of going up that's all about my first couple pairs of socks, what I've learned, what I recommend, and things like that very soon, so stay tuned for that. But today I'm just going to talk about the sock that I knit for Sock Week 2020. So first let's talk the yarn, and then I'm going to talk about the pattern that I use and modifications and things like that. So this yarn I've had for so many years. My mom got it for me and put it as a stocking stuffer in my Christmas stocking years ago. I believe it is Lion Brand Deborah Norville Serenity Sockwood. I think that's the correct line. Not 100% sure, so don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. I also do not know the colorway name, so I am like I just flat out do not know it. But it's really, really pretty, and this is all the yarn, so it's self-striping like this. I absolutely love the way that it turned out. They're super fun. I have found that I really like knitting kind of funky socks. These are colors that I wear gray and green sometimes, but other than that, these are most of the colors that I would not choose to wear like by themselves. But I'm going to fully enjoy wearing these socks over leggings in the winter. It's going to be so much fun. So, how I knit this sock. Natty has tutorials on her YouTube channel for how to knit cuff down or toe up socks, which are amazing and so helpful. I highly recommend them. However, when the sock week actually started, I did not have the appropriate needles for that. She has, I believe, magic loop instructions in the tutorial. She might have DPNs. I'm not entirely sure. But I have this set from Xiaogu. This is the mini twist interchangeable set, the shorties. So this goes from sizes 0 to 3 to make 9-inch circulars. So this is what I had on hand, and so this is obviously what I wanted to use. I did not have appropriate magic loop needles at the time. So I kind of went from there. So the tutorial that I used was from the Crazy Sock Lady. She is hosting a summer sock camp, which I'm not really participating in, but I did use her tutorial and have enjoyed making a couple of pairs of socks using them. So I used her vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars tutorial. However, I did change a couple things up. So for the first pair of socks that I knit, again, I will talk more about those in a future video, but I followed that tutorial exactly. I did cuff down, heel flapping gusset, the like wedge toe that she gives you instructions for. I just followed the pattern. I used the same size needles, etc. They fit really, really well. However, there were a couple spots that were baggy, and I wondered if I could make a couple of modifications to fix that. So for this sock and for this pair of socks, I only have one done right now, but I will be knitting the second one, of course. So for this pair of socks, I did a 2x2 ribbed cuff instead of a 1x1. I just kind of wanted to see what that would look like and see how it would fit me. So I did that. I also did an afterthought heel. I did it for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't want to mess up the stripes by doing a heel flapping gusset. And then I also wanted to just try an afterthought heel. I have done one in the past on like some random worsted weight socks that I made a while back, but it didn't really fit my foot very well. And looking back, I know why, and so I was eager to figure out a way to change that, and the Crazy Sock Lady included a couple of tips for that in her afterthought heel tutorial on her channel. That was so helpful, and so I am so excited because this fits my foot so well, this afterthought heel. All I did was I added 3 rounds of, so I cut into my sock to start my heel to begin with, and then I did 3 rounds of just plain knitting before I started the decreases, and then I did the decreases to match the toe, which is doing a plain knit round and then a decrease round, and doing that for a few rounds, and then going into all decrease rounds, which is exactly what Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady calls for you to do, and I really love that. It's not something I was doing on my other socks, and so I'm really glad that I learned that technique. So yes, I knit, because it was an afterthought heel, I just knit the entire tube, and then I did the toe, and it went really, really well. So I still casted on 56 stitches, which is what Kay calls for in her 9-inch circular vanilla sock pattern and tutorial. And I'm thinking that I'm going to go down to 52 inches for my next sock and see how that goes. For this one, I did go down to a size 0 needle. So the size 0 needles did change my gauge a little bit. They made it a tad tighter. But I'm just not entirely sure I would do that same thing in the future, especially since now I have size 1 Childhood 32-inch circular needles, which is super exciting. And so now I have a much better way to knit my heels and toes instead of using DPNs, because DPNs are just not something that I enjoy using. I would much prefer to do just plain around and around on a circular needle, or do magic loop. So yeah, that's kind of my plan going forward. I fully enjoyed knitting this sock for Sock Week, and I'm even more excited that I actually participated and that I have finally conquered my fear of knitting socks. Again, I will be having a video going up soon about my first pair of socks, and kind of my tips, even though I'm a beginner, and things that I would do in the future and wouldn't do in the future. So be sure to stay tuned to that video if you're a beginner sock knitter or interested in everything that I did. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you participated in Sock Week 2020 and if you enjoyed it.